When the Zarkari Empire arrived in Earth's orbit, they didn't broadcast a message, they didn't wait. They fired. The orbital defense ring lasted 17 minutes. Cities burned, satellites fell like meteors. Every government on Earth collapsed in the first 6 hours. The invasion wasn't a war, it was extermination. Humanity had no fleets, no force fields, no energy weapons, just bones and bullets. By day 2, 93% of Earth was under Zarkari control, but they made one mistake. One tiny mistake. They took New Chicago last, and that's where he was. Nobody knew his real name. The military called him the Custodian. Some classified file somewhere said he was a former Delta, or maybe SEAL, or maybe a CIA asset. Nobody could prove it. But everyone knew what happened in Kandahar, what happened in Pyongyang, what happened in the Siberian mines when the AI revolted. He ended it. Alone. Every time. The Zarkari sent a battalion into New Chicago. 3,000 warriors, 8-legged tanks, drone swarms that looked like locusts. They made it 2 blocks. Then, silence. The satellite feed showed a man walking out of the fire, shirtless, bloodied, holding a crowbar in one hand and a plasma cannon ripped off a tank in the other. Command thought it was a glitch. Then the body count started. By day 4, the resistance had one name on their lips: send the Custodian. He didn't give speeches, he didn't have a radio, he didn't need followers, he was death in boots. He hunted them in the cities, in the forests, in their ships. Zarkari commanders began evacuating any sector he entered. They couldn't understand it. One man with no augmentations, no armor, no fleet support, just fury. But they didn't know humans. Not really. They didn't know what it meant to watch your children turn to ash, your planet eaten alive. They didn't know what vengeance tasted like. When the weak seconds start, the Zarkari changed tactics. They stopped attacking Earth. Instead, they opened a wormhole and brought through a world killer, a dreadnought-class vessel with enough firepower to split the moon in half. Their message was simple: surrender your Custodian, or we burn the rest. The world panicked, refugees scattered, resistance leaders begged the man to turn himself in, save the species. He didn't answer. He boarded a stolen Zarkari dropship and flew into orbit, alone. What happened next? Well, the transmission is still archived in a dozen alien languages. The world killer was 40 kilometers long. It had shields, interceptors, point defense lasers, and 3 AI-controlled command brains. He came in through the exhaust port. That wasn't supposed to be possible, but he wasn't supposed to exist. The Custodian fought his way through 10,000 troops. He bled in the hallways, broke bones on purpose to squeeze through gaps, set off chain reactions in the coolant chambers, tore out a general's eye and used it for retinal access. By the time he reached the core, the Zarkari were begging. They offered him gold, women, planets. He grinned and lit a match. We lost contact for 7 minutes. Then the world killer exploded. Chunks of superheated metal rained into the upper atmosphere like fireworks. The explosion could be seen from Australia. No escape pods, no survivors, except one. A charred drop pod landed in Kansas 2 hours later. He stepped out, coughing, covered in blackened soot, and he smiled. 1 month later, the Zarkari Empire sued for peace. The High Chancellor appeared on galactic broadcast, 4 eyes trembling, tentacles writhing, and uttered words no alien empire had ever spoken to a pre-warp civilization. We yield. They say the Custodian vanished after that. Some think he died in the pod, and what stepped out was just a ghost. Some think he never existed, that it was all resistance propaganda. But those who fought alongside him remember. They remember the way the Zarkari feared him, how a $1 trillion war machine fell to a man with a grudge and a crowbar. And every alien empire in the galaxy remembers too. Now, they speak of Earth with reverence, not because of our weapons, not because of our ships, but because when they sent an army, we sent one man. 50 years later, the Galactic Senate met on neutral ground to discuss a troubling rumor. A new species had been discovered, violent, primitive, but fiercely intelligent. Senators debated protocols. One Zarkari elder, now blind and ancient, stood from her seat. "Leave them," she rasped. "Why?" the others asked. "They are a danger," her tentacles shook. "You don't understand," she said. "They are humans." Gasps spread through the chamber. "Another Earth?" "No," she said. "They are Earth, descendants, seeds scattered after the fall. You start another war, and the Custodian returns." The room went silent, and across the stars, deep in an asteroid belt no probe dared enter, a lone figure stood watching, eyes cold, crowbar in hand, waiting.